Welcome to Big Boy Crypto, where we aim to empower you to have financial freedom through crypto assets. And if you like the sound of that, I know I do, make sure you go ahead, hit that like button, and smash that subscribe button. This is Around the Blockchain. We come to you Monday through Friday at 5:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking about your favorite topic, which is crypto, with some of your favorite guests. Today is no exception, and we're going to start with that top right on the corner right here. We have MacNCheeasy. And just because he's wearing tie-dye doesn't mean that crypto is dead. He's still a believer. He's scooping up and spooning up all those Satoshis. And in that bottom left, we have it's been a while since I've done an episode with you, big friend of the channel, Hashoshi. Welcome back, Hashoshi. It's at Hashoshi4. Beware, there's a lot of scammers out there, you know, trying to take this man's lovable face. And on that bottom left, we have Crypto Keeper. And he said if he gets enough points for the final word, he might do a guitar solo. So, you know, maybe we'll find out. I don't know. And in the top left, we have Ben Armstrong. He just shattered my whole world. I thought Danny DeVito was 5'8". He's 4'10". I fell for the TikTok. I fell for it. I don't know what to say. I knew it didn't sound right. All right, we're gonna be.
What kind of shape of a human would Danny DeVito be if he was 5'8"?
Rotund.
I want to see a 5'8" Danny DeVito. That's what I want to see. That is the metaverse we need.
You know, he'd be a good
I'd like
power
to see the
forward.
4'10" Tom Cruise.
His marketing manager did not cook up a scheme to bill him as the shortest guy in Hollywood, and he's in fact a giant. That is not.
You know, it kind of made sense because of the Twins movie. I was like, you know, maybe they just doubled down from that. But
it was a good TikTok. It's a great TikTok.
I fell for it. All right. You know what? Maybe I see why people give up their seed phrases. I fell for that. So, you know, now I take all that back if I make fun of you. All right, we're going to be talking
Danny
about
DeVito asking for my seed phrase.
Sounds legit. All right, we're going to be talking about the Fed meeting. Converting crypto. I know some of you have some questions. You know, how do I get my fiat into crypto or vice versa? And YouTube NFTs, the CEO came out and now YouTube's getting involved. Wait a minute. Aren't they owned by Google? Big things are happening in the crypto space. It's going to be huge. But before we get into that, you know what time it is, everybody. It's time for us to check out these crypto markets. It was very, very green yesterday, and now things are starting to turn around a little bit. We have Bitcoin paring down some of the loss. It was down a little over 1%. Now we're looking at about 0.4, still above 36,000. We have Ethereum at 2,400. You know, looks like it wanted to jump up a little bit right there. BNB, you know, still in the green. Solana down, Terra Luna down. Doge, you can't keep it down. It's that 14 cents, maybe a nickel and a dime soon. Who knows? We'll see. Avalanche is up, and I believe Terra was not the Terra UST. Litecoin down. Near Protocol was up. That's what it was. Almost up 10% on the daily there. Now, Hashoshi, I know you're looking at some of these charts, and Bitcoin kind of remaining flat, but then the other broad markets, they don't know what to do. Some are up, some are down. Mm-hmm. If Bitcoin goes flat over the next week, where do you see the rest of the market heading?
Yeah, I think generally where Bitcoin goes, the rest of the market follows. And there are a few exceptions. You look at something like Near Protocol, where there's some excitement going on around technology, implementations and things that they've been working on, big launches and just excitement around ecosystems. To an extent, Algorand was the same for the last little bit, and Terra in times before was kind of bucking the trend. So you'll see little outliers, but in general, when Bitcoin is not doing well, the rest of the market's not going to do well. And in tandem, when the traditional markets are looking ugly, Bitcoin's going to look ugly, and it has a cascading effect.
All right, so Near and Algo have some good, tech on the horizon. And speaking of Algo, if you want to help our algorithm, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button. Let's get that button up. Hit that subscribe and make sure you check out the description. Links to all the channels in there. But we're going to be talking about the Fed meeting. Those who don't know, the Fed, they meet up, often. And then the stock market kind of lives or dies off of their words. And we see a little bit of a correlation with the crypto markets. Actually, the Federal Open Markets Committee, their meeting is going to conclude tomorrow. It's going to end with a Jerome Powell Q&A. There's a lot hinging on these words that are going to be said. What's the stock market going to do? What's crypto going to do? A lot of it's going to depend if they're more hawkish, more, are they going to be real, everything's green, baby, let's turn on that money printer? Or are they going to go the opposite direction? Now, Ben, stocks tumbled today. People, they're not feeling good about these Fed minutes. The futures fell. It's looking a little scary. How important do you believe the meeting is tomorrow for the future of Bitcoin?
Well, I mean, the meeting's today and tomorrow. It's going on right now.
Sure,
and
sure.
The minutes are going to be released tomorrow, and we're going to know the announcement. That's what they generally do at the end of these meetings. They tell everybody what's going on. And I think this is it. I think this is the linchpin. I think this is the hinge that swings the market one way or the other. Look, if it comes out and look, everything we're reading from the traditional, kind of financial media is telling us they are fully expecting the Fed to put in a tightening policy. And it's not going to happen tomorrow. The tightening's not happening tomorrow. The tightening will begin in March. But so many people are expecting a reversal, and I just don't know where this narrative is coming from. I guess it's kind of like, the boy that cries wolf, right? Like the boy that cries wolf, the story goes is that he tells people there's a wolf coming, there's a wolf coming, there's a wolf coming. Finally, when the wolf comes, nobody believes it. That's where we're at with the Fed. They've been talking about raising rates, been talking about, thwarting inflation, been talking about tightening policy for a long, long time. And they've yet to do it. And so I think people are just so used to hearing these kind of rumors that, they just don't believe. Here's what it boils down to. People do not believe that the Fed is capable of turning off the printers. And I've been, on record as saying that I think that they are going to turn them off sooner rather than later. If we get 4 rate hikes over this year, that is going to stifle the economy. And that is what they're saying is coming. So, look, I would certainly love to be surprised for the sake of Bitcoin and Bitcoin holders. I certainly am hoping that something comes out of this meeting tomorrow, or that maybe somehow miraculously things are priced in. But I tend to believe that, if we get a super bearish or, super dovish statement from the Fed tomorrow when it comes to this quantitative tightening as opposed to quantitative easing and rate hikes, that we are going to be, looking at kind of a doomsday event for the entire market. And I think that is kind of the hope for Bitcoin, is that maybe the stock market will plunge and find a bottom. Now allow Bitcoin to find a bottom a little bit quicker.
All right. Well, Keeper, let's talk about the hope for Bitcoin for a second. Many people have a hope for Bitcoin being, and it's an asset that's a hedge against inflation. It's an asset that's a hedge against these other markets. However, not everyone feels that to be true. Where do you land? Do you see that as being true? Why or why not? Is Bitcoin a hedge against all these other assets?
It's supposed to be. The thing that I've really noticed is that when the traditional markets tumble, Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto markets tumble as well. However, we do recover a little bit faster. And I think that's why Ben was saying, hey, let's just find this bottom. Let's speed along this process and let's get this show on the road. The reality is the Fed is either is pushing one of two directions here. They're either printing us towards hyperinflation, or they're going to rate hike us into what's essentially going to be a depression, whether it's, a massive depression or whether it's just, a small economic downturn, which I think is going to be a lot more than that. Those are really the only two options that they have. And Bitcoin comes in and says, hey, listen, I've got a set supply. I've got built-in supply and demand, right? And ultimately it is, I agree with Michael Saylor, it is like that apex property. It is that apex asset that you can own, that there's not going to be more printed of it. It is intrinsically going to continue to have that value. And if the Fed, if our government, if the powers that be can get their head around the idea that, you know what, if we were willing to kind of take our hand off just a little bit of that power button and allow something decentralized like Bitcoin to actually do what it was intended to do, I think the whole world could benefit from it. So I think that it absolutely could do that. I just don't know that our government's going to allow it to happen.
Yeah, we don't know what it's going to allow. We don't know, what this next meeting, as they release the minutes tomorrow, where it's going to head. Now, Hashoshi, you've been in crypto for a while, and you've seen, different economic times, whether they're, turbulent or choppy or, strong headwinds coming your way. Now, and we don't know, what direction it's going to head in the near future. How do you think, Bitcoin is going to fare, if things do take a turn for the worse?
Yeah, I think based on what Ben and Keeper said as well, you look at the scenario where there are 1 to many rate hikes, 4 rate hikes this year. You look at a scenario where the asset purchasing and money printing stops. You're looking at bad news for the traditional markets. and bad news for all risk assets. And crypto are like the pinnacle risk asset. They're very risky. You have high returns. People don't really want to go there during rate hike scenarios. That's just kind of a general economic rule of thumb. And so if that's the case, I'm expecting Bitcoin to, and other crypto in general, to suffer greatly. I mean, you look at a really true like 2018 style bear market scenario. But what I want to point out is that we haven't had the type of like, depression or like high scale economic recession like what Keeper was talking about since the advent of Bitcoin, because 2008 was kind of the precursor, the inspiration for Bitcoin at that time. And so this is going to be uncharted territory for how this stuff reacts.
All right, definitely. And, we don't know how it's going to react, with these other narratives of a Bitcoin cycle. Will these macroeconomic, tailwinds, and will it affect the Bitcoin cycle? Now, MacNCheeasy, simple question here. Yay or nay, are we in a bear cycle?
I don't think so. I'm of the believer of an extended cycle. If we even have cycles anymore, I think crypto is becoming a little bit more mature in a sense that we haven't really seen that true blow off top that we've seen in the previous cycles, where we then had this massive pullback. We've kind of seen something that we really haven't seen with Bitcoin, where it hits an all-time high and then it's basically like flat for a year. Like if you look at the year chart, we're at the same price where we were at a year ago. Like,
all right. Well, that's a good point. Good point. But a quick follow-up question, are we dependent on these macroeconomic trends for the Bitcoin, bear and bull cycle, for the Bitcoin cycle?
Yeah, I think Hashoshi hit the nail on the head, right? If the more broad economic or the traditional securities market sees a major recession, then we don't really know how crypto is going to react. And a lot of people get into Bitcoin because it is this narrative of an inflation hedge as a store of value similar to that of gold, but it's just not mature enough now to disconnect itself from the movement of the rest of the economy. Like theoretically, right? If people want to move their money into a safe haven asset from something like a tech security or equity, they'll move into gold. They're not moving into Bitcoin yet. I think next bull run, or maybe 4 or 5 years from now, maybe, but we're just not there yet. And I think a lot of the new investors, they get into Bitcoin kind of thinking it is an inflation hedge, which it is. But in a sense, if there is a broader economic downturn, you cannot anticipate that crypto is not going to go down with it, because it is truly the most speculative asset. So it's going to have the highest volatility in relation to the rest of the stock market.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. Well, let's get to the lightning round. I know you let us know in the comments. We forgot the lightning yesterday. Don't worry. We got the lightning round today. Today's a good one. It's the first for a fill in the blank. And I think we're going to be doing this in the future. I like this. All right. I'm going to start with you, Ben, and we're going to go clockwise. People are going to be blank after the Fed reveals its decision.
I think people are going to be confused. I think that's the best word. I think people are going to be confused because I think they're going to actually stick to what they said they were going to do. And I think people aren't going to know how to react to them saying they're going to turn the printers off.
Yeah, no about face. All right. MacNCheeasy. People are going to be blank after the Fed decision tomorrow.
I have no idea what's going on. I anticipate that they're kind of going to muddy the water with their statement, because they know if they say something that's really against quantitative easing, there's the market's going to react. I think they're going to just kind of, be on the outside or whatever, be a little bit generic.
Kick the can down the road. Crypto Keeper.
Yep.
People are going to be blank after the Fed reveals this decision.
Irritated.
I think that's a safe bet for sure. Hashoshi. People are going to be blank after the Fed reveals this decision.
Ben stole mine, but I won't steal it back. I'll say worried before and after.
Okay. We also would have taken perplexed. We wouldn't have said it was a stolen.
Okay,
all right, let's talk converting crypto. Just quick 2 cents on my end. I use Coinbase. I know a lot of the people that I work with, they use Gemini. When we say converting crypto into fiat, we mean, how do you get it off, right? You bought this Bitcoin, the price has changed. It's time to put that back into your bank account. How do you want to do that? How do you navigate it? let us know in the comments how you like to do it, and we'll check those out. You know, maybe we'll make a video on it, reviewing it. Who knows in the future? Maybe we'll put on another channel. But I'm going to start with you, Keeper. We are possibly at the beginning of a bear market, and it may not be the best time to convert your crypto out. You know, now's fear is high. Historically, maybe not the best time to do so. But this is definitely something that many people are wondering, especially if, you know, they didn't want a tax event. So they're, you know, kind of waiting for January, or someone like myself, you know, I'm looking at a big purchase. I don't want to do it. I had to do a little extra this week. I hated doing it. I really didn't want to do it. It's just something that I did have to do. Now, what do you believe to be the best way to convert your crypto back into fiat?
I think it depends on timing. But if you are planning on, and as always, none of this is financial advice, but if you are planning on continuing to stay in crypto, I think there's a lot of really good options to, excuse me, to leverage your crypto. I think that ultimately not having that taxable event, like you were just talking about, is a fantastic opportunity. But you have to understand that it needs to be at an opportune time, right? We want the markets to be down when we take a loan against our assets. We don't want the market to be up and then drop from there. So I think it's all about timing as it relates to that. But just on, I guess, on a basic, just a more of a beginner answer for that, Crypto.com. First, if you don't have a Crypto.com account, link in bio. No, I'm just kidding. If you don't have a Crypto.com account, the first 30 days are all like free transactions, period. And I think that that's just an awesome thing for people that are, you know, in the beginner space trying to move some stuff around. And I think that's probably at least a good option on a beginner level.
Hey, I like free, even if I have to spend gas to do it. You know, I'll still do it. I like free. So, MacNCheeasy, you know, your audience is definitely Gen Z, you know, no doubt about that. And a lot of people, they also think, you know, there is a crypto revolution that is on the horizon. Plus, there's a saying, 1 Bitcoin equals what? You know, 1 Bitcoin. It is always going to equal 1 Bitcoin. Do you feel that the younger generation is going to have a world where one day they don't have to convert their crypto over to fiat, where they do buy things with Bitcoin or an AMC ticket with Litecoin, you know?
100%. 100%. I think whether or not they have to, I think Keeper hit the nail on the head with the borrowing. You won't have to sell your assets the same way you don't have to sell your house, the same way you don't have to sell your equity to actually get liquidity. So I think Gen Zers, us, I think that I don't even know what I fall under. I don't know if I'm a Gen Z. I'm going to have to look that one up. But I think you don't have to necessarily sell it. Why are you selling it? I think that's kind of my question. What is your reasoning? Do you need liquidity to pay expenses? Do you have a better place to move the money? Because a lot of times of volatility means that it goes up and down, right? So if it goes to 32, like we're seeing right now, it's at 37. So when you sell or when there is volatility, just be aware that that's also when there's price action up and down. And do you have a better place to allocate your capital? And why are you selling that asset? For me, if I were to do it, I use Coinbase Pro. That's my primary onboarding and offboarding platform.
Okay, yeah, and I see a lot of that in the chat. Definitely chat likes Coinbase. I use Coinbase to PayPal to the bank. But now, Ben, you've made some large purchases with, you know, gains from crypto. You bought a new building for the business. You got a Lamborghini. I think you maybe bought a Starbucks cup this morning. It was a grande, everybody. So, you know, you've definitely made.
I say
some
large. I just say large.
Yeah, I actually say the ounces. I'm not kidding. I say the 20 ounce. I don't care which one it is. Just give me the 20 ounce. But what is the best way to convert a large amount of fiat into crypto? You know, not for Chainlink.
Yeah, man, we had so many problems with this. I think this is one of those things, right? It's like first world problems, right? When you're trying to pull out $3 million to do something. I understand that for most people watching this, you're like, I'm never going to need to do that. But hey, 4 years ago, I never thought I'd have to do it either. So these are very important things that, you know, as you develop in your crypto journey, you know, depending on, you know, how far you get and where you go, these are things you might have to worry about. You know, maybe it's not $3 million, maybe it's $100,000 you're pulling out to pay off your house. And what we found is we kept running up against limits on a lot of different exchanges for how much money we could take from Coinbase to our bank or from Gemini to our bank. A lot of people know we had, because I moved Coinbase money from Coinbase to my bank account, I got my bank account shut down. It was like $100,000. They shut my bank account down because it was a Coinbase wire. So we really had to get creative with how to do some of this stuff and pull money out. Well, we found the best thing to do for large amounts is actually use an OTC desk. So we use Caleb and Brown. We've actually, not to plug Caleb and Brown, but you guys they're on our deals page if you are ever interested in using them as an OTC desk. And it was very helpful for us because what we would do is we would just send our crypto. So you can withdraw as much crypto as you want from one of the exchanges. You just can't convert. They have limits on how much you can convert over to fiat. So what we would do is we would actually take the money in crypto, send it to the OTC desk. They would sell it off, and then they would take the fiat and they would deposit that money back into our bank. And what that did is, it doesn't come across as a crypto transaction for your bank. So you're safe there. It just comes across as like a consultant is putting money, a consultant business is putting money into your account. So that's actually how we had to do it. We found it to be very helpful if you have to do large purchases or convert over large amounts of crypto to fiat. There is a fee associated with it, 1% or 2%. So it is a chunky amount, but unfortunately at this point, there's not a lot of great ways to do it for larger amounts like that. So that's my suggestion for anybody that would need to do that would be a OTC desk.
All right. Yeah, definitely solves a lot of issues. Now, Hashoshi, there's really not many people I could say this about, but you were definitely in it for the tech. There's no mistake about that. I mean, look at your glasses. I wasn't gonna say, but we can tell. We can tell for sure. So, and also one really good thing you do for your audience, you're always providing resources, always giving people tools so they can, educate themselves and find a way to, get the knowledge that they do need. You're teaching them how to fish. You're not just giving them a fish. Now, when it comes to questions like this, or say even, a tax question, is there any resource that you point your audience to that can help provide answers?
Yeah, I mean, around tax questions and questions around the accounting part of this, I would say there are plenty of like some of these crypto tax companies, Coin Tracker, Zen Ledger, those sorts of places. They have people on staff that really know this stuff very well, and they'll know the local laws and regulations and things that you have to think about in wherever it is that you live, and there are ones localized to Europe as well, so there are plenty of options there. But in terms of like thinking about when to sell or how to sell, when to buy, looking at data is always what speaks to me the most, and looking at fundamentals. And so platforms that provide such data would be like Trade the Chain, TTC. They do like sentiment analysis, or Santiment that does like on-chain metric analysis. There's so many different options out there to get data, to make better decisions, and to do them in a deliberate way and not an emotional way. And I think that's the key to all of this.
Okay. Yeah, no, definitely. So really good. Always check out these channels. Definitely the links are in the description. So definitely check that out. We're always trying to point you in the right direction. But let's break it down and talk about some YouTube NFTs real quick. I actually tweeted about this 6 hours ago. This wasn't planned or anything. Breaking news, YouTube to help creators monetize their channel via NFTs. This is from the CEO. We're always focused on expanding the YouTube ecosystem to help creators capitalize on emerging technologies, including things like NFTs. So they're doubling down. They're going big. Who knows how this is going to, relate to NFTs and tech and Web3 in the future. We'll leave it, we'll ask the panel here for sure. But this definitely came from left field, Mac. I don't think anyone was really expecting this. I didn't have it on my bingo card for sure. How do you think that they are going to actually implement NFTs for YouTube?
It's interesting, right? And in terms of why they're saying this now, I'm sure it has a lot to do with Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, talking NFTs, integrating NFTs, and so it's a copycat league for all of these things. And that's why I think NFTs, they're going mainstream so quick, because people don't want to be left in the dust. So, and for these big companies, just mentioning it in their press conference, whether or not they do anything for it, they're getting all this free advertisement. All of the YouTube's back in the conversation for all these things. So just saying it alone is a smart decision. Now, in terms of actually implementing it, I think they'll probably provide some sort of platform, or at least rollout platform, that makes it easier for creators to launch a specific project. Let's say you have whatever, just spitballing, but something that allows for a creator, let's say the BitBoy crypto channel, to click a couple buttons, and now they have an NFT project that people can come to the website and actually mint it, and it's an all-in-one out-of-the-box solution. And I think this has value because you're giving ownership to your top viewers, your top community members, and you're empowering them. And that's why NFTs are so awesome. I think a lot of people think they're cash grabs, but some of them are, a lot of them are, but some of them are just ways to give back to your community and then keep them even more engaged and feel like they get ownership. They're part of the community a little bit more than just paying a membership fee each month.
No, I agree. And I would even say most are a cash grab, but you find that small percentage that, definitely is in it for the tech, but speaking of tech, let's go to our resident tech expert. I'm going to start calling you that, even though your television wire is hanging from your wall mounted TV. I'll give you that one. That's a huge pain in the butt. You could be a tech guy, but maybe you're not a carpenter.
TV doesn't
and
even work.
Fine. All right, I'm revoking tech guy. You're no longer a tech guy. But NFT tech, it is pretty exciting. Sometimes just art and collectibles, but we're seeing an explosion. It's going into different realms. What are some of the creative areas that you can kind of see, maybe this is where NFTs are heading in the near future?
Yeah, I mean, I think gamification is a big thing. Community engagement, rewarding people for being engaged in your community, rewarding people for contributing to your community, NFTs as passes to events that also have a collectible element to them. And then, of course, the true use of NFTs in many ways is the licensing around actual pieces of content and media. I think there's a lot of use there. There are obvious ones, in-game items and other things that might not align super well with YouTube and what they're going to do with them. I have a feeling that MacNCheeasy's right on. It's going to be, for YouTube, a way for people to sort of merchandise, much like they have with integrations with like Teespring to sell merch, ways for creators on YouTube to sell NFTs to their audience, and maybe even to give NFTs as rewards for being an engaged community member. But I will say, I would much rather them focus first on treating crypto and finance YouTubers, I guess, as less than second or more than second class citizens, fixing the scamming issues and the spam issues, and stopping us from getting banned for basically no reason before they do the NFT thing. But that's just me.
Yeah, the default shouldn't be, oh yeah, we just totally eradicated your whole channel and we only said something because you got a mob with torches, so now we'll look at it. Yeah, hopefully they do fix that problem, in the near future. Well, Ben, they also brought up DAOs. They also brought up Web3 with YouTube. What are some of the ways you see them incorporating Web3 and DAOs with YouTube?
Well, the Web3 conversation is pretty interesting because that's actually what's going to destroy YouTube eventually. I mean, Web3, where we can get outside of the censorship of one platform. Now, look, everything's clunky. Any YouTube competitor right now is clunky. They're not really working. I'm more fascinated to see how Web3 is going to eat away at YouTube's dominance than I am about how they're going to incorporate Web3 into what they do. But one way that they could incorporate, Web3, I think would be able, through using something like Theta to be able to, get decentralized streaming power, because streaming's only going to get bigger. Well, part of Web3, I mean, there's different definitions, but one of the components of Web3, according to some definitions, is that it's kind of the internet where all of the individual participants of the internet create the content. And how are they going to do that? Through streaming. I mean, streaming is taking off. It's going parabolic. It's going to continue. But we don't have enough resources in the world currently to be able to support the level of streaming that's coming. So I can see that, somehow, put into the infrastructure of YouTube to allow for, better streaming quality. But I think when it comes to DAOs, I mean, this is the much more fascinating conversation because we have Patreon, right? Patreon is kind of, we've never used it here at the channel because I don't feel like people should pay for content on YouTube. I think that's like not really what I want to do. We have other ways that we monetize the channel. There are people that have asked for that before. That's just not what we want. We're not gatekeepers on information here in crypto on YouTube. And so we don't utilize Patreon. No shade to other people that do. But creating DAOs out of YouTube communities is really, really fascinating to be able to think. They're like, let's say we wanted to, let's say we wanted to do some type of video on top 5 coins of next year or whatever. We could actually create a DAO for the BitSquad, and we could go into that community and we could ask the community to come up with, hey, these are the picks that we really want. These are the coins we want you to cover. And really, this is the next generation of content creation that we haven't really seen before, which is you kind of have a leader or a face that creates a community on YouTube, but the community drives the content. And I think that's a really fascinating place that we have not seen, before in content creation.
Yeah, I'm the NFT guy here. My mind's just spinning with all the possibilities. You watch 100 hours, you get the bronze pass. 500, you get the silver. 1,000, you get the gold. Everybody gets different voting.
How much you have to watch to get a hat reveal?
Hat reveal. Go ahead and hit that like button real quick. Hold on. Whoa.
Yeah.
You didn't zoom in. You didn't zoom in time. But make sure you hit that like button. I want, just, all right, let's get past 1,000. I know we can do that. All right. Final question here. You're bringing it to you, Keeper here. These are all like pretty cool ideas, the Web3, the DAOs. I like it, the NFTs. But how can the audience, make money off this future? What's a way for us to, get financial freedom from this new emerging technology?
Well, I mean, on the front end, NFTs have the ability to have a royalty in smart contract, and I think that is something that can be utilized all over the place. I think that creators that are ultimately doing like a lot of education. One of the things that we do on Debate Crypto is a lot of education centered content, and that can then be used to create some sort of an entrance into a school in the metaverse. And then once that person has went through that school, and I'm literally just coming off the top of my head with this, but like they go through the school and then all of a sudden they're finished, and then they're able to sell that educational, that ability to get into the school to someone else. Somebody else takes a percentage. I think ultimately there's a lot of different options that are there, but I think that the biggest piece of the puzzle is going to be on the content creators to come up with the creative ideas and the creative ways to involve the, we say like, hey, drop a 1 in the chat if this, or drop a 2 in the chat. And we do that because it's a simple way to get people involved and continue to work on the algorithm as well, but it also keeps people involved. And I think that we're going to have to come up with some really creative ideas and creative ways to keep that engagement and to then award our viewers, instead of just doing, hey, here's a $500 giveaway, or hey, we're giving away market Cipher. Those are all great things, but ultimately if we're able to give away an NFT that represents something bigger, something more educational, something more towards them moving forward and bettering themselves in the crypto space.
All right, love that. And real quick, I got to bring it to the chat. Ben's hairline is underappreciated. I said it. They had to throw that in there. Chia pet hairline, I guess that's me. I don't know. Who knows what's going on? But before we bring it down, it looks like Ben won the show. Frankie Candles is going live. He's probably live right now. You might want to check that out. That's under BitBoy Trading. If you go to channels under our homepage, you can find it there. So big shout out to Frankie Candles. He's been knocking out of the park. We all like Frankie here. So if you like a little TA, definitely check that out. But that is all we got time for today. And it looked like Ben came out swinging from the fences, for the fences there. And Ben, your immaculate hairline, go ahead, take it away. Leave us with some parting thoughts.
Wow, this is incredible. This is the second show I've won today, so I'm really, really excited about that. I think here's the deal. I think, one thing, I just made a tweet about this. Tomorrow I think is a very pivotal day for the near-term future of Bitcoin and of crypto. But one thing is, this last several months has been very humbling for a lot of us who thought we knew what was going on, who thought we knew where the markets are going. You just got to remember, there's none of us out here that have a crystal ball. Sometimes it feels like we do, but we don't. You got to do your own research. And I think the next few days, you need to pay a lot of attention, because it can be a time to guide the direction of your portfolio and your investments.
Love that. Do your own research. Good way is check out all the channels and Frankie Candles himself. But that's all we got time for today, BitSquad. Until next time, DZ out.